This is James at World War II Jeep and Rifle. Today I'm working on this is a Korea manufactured date BC-620 transmitter receiver with a power supply for use in a Jeep vehicle. Same design used all through World War II. It's basically a 1-watt radio used to communicate with infantry. And it was in a form factor manageable in a Jeep operation. There are mounts to put it onto your Willys MB or 4GPW from that time frame, and it hooks up to the vehicle's battery. What I want to talk about today is if you've just bought yourself one of these vintage radios and you're ready to hook it up to your Jeep and try it out. Well, there's a few things to take care of. The power supply, which is the bottom box, is strapped or clipped to the radio receiver transmitter. And you can connect the radio to the power supply through this cable interface. Power supply is capable of converting 6 volt, 12 volt, or 24 volt systems to the right voltage levels for the transmitter and receiver vacuum tube power rails. You have to configure the power supply for the battery system that you're operating on. At this time, this power supply is set for 6 volts, and I'm going to show you how to convert it to 12 volts. First thing you do is you have to remove the transmitter receiver. Comes off as a unit, and then what we have is just the power supply box. This is a PE-120B power supply. There were also, I think, a PE-69, can't remember the part number exactly. Very similar. There are 7 clips to pull the top off of the PE-120. This will pull off. If you're lucky, you might find a TS-13 handset or maybe even other components. That's a desiccant and some spares. This is the 12 volt vibrator, which has to be used in the power supply unit for a 12 volt system. Currently, the empty box holds a 6 volt vibrator. There's a spare fuse, should be a spare capacitor in the original units. Next step is to remove 6 screws from the cover plate. The cover plate has some very useful information on it. And I highly recommend that you get a technical manual to go with the radio that you're using. This power supply is in really good condition. And as I pull the plate off, let me just show you a couple things. It gives you some instructions. These instructions tell you about the vibrator. There is a vibrator for 6 volt, 12 volt, and 24 volt operation. I'm going to replace the 12 volt vibrator with the 6 volt vibrator. There is also a plug. This plug, which I'll point out in a second, can be oriented for 6 volt, 12 volt, or 24 volt systems. So you have to do both. You have to change the vibrator and you have to reconfigure the plug for the power supply that you will be working off of. So if your Jeep has been converted over to a 12 volt system and you want to put a BC-620 radio with power supply on your Jeep, you have to make sure the power supply is configured correctly. So what we're looking at in here is the vibrator. which with some jostling, you just wiggle it out. Okay, it's got a keyed pin out. See how it's got a symmetrical spacing of 8 pins plus an extra pin, which is just for mechanical keying so that you get it in correct. So first step is replace the vibrator. Pull it out of its box and you slot it. The second step is the plug. You can see this plug has a little painted notch, and conveniently there are stamped indicators for 6, 12, and 24. So what you need to do is you need to again pull this plug out. Gentle wiggling. And then I'm just going to rotate it so that the pins in the plug slot and the notch is indicating the 12-volt configuration. Okay. After that, put the cover carefully back on, button it back up, and then you have configured the PE-120 for 12 volts. Hope this was helpful. If you like what you saw, like the video, subscribe to us, and we'll show you more. See you next time.